you're going to be introduced to a 3-step process that can empower you to respond constructively to any type of regret. The first step in the process is to recognize your regrets for what they are. Go ahead, ask yourself, what exactly is it that you're feeling badly about? Have you underestimated or overestimated how serious it is? What power does it have or not have to affect your future? We need to answer these questions if we really want to start over. Now, that seems like simple advice, doesn't it? Maybe even too simple. Yet I'm telling you, the human mind has some reflexive responses to powerful emotions such as regret that can make it really hard to honestly face reality. So for that reason, let me give you 2 don'ts and 1 do when it comes to taking stock of our own regrets. First, don't. Don't dwell on your regrets. Up to a point, mentally rehearsing something that happened might be helpful to you. You want to learn from your regrets, and it's good to analyze and try to understand what really happened. But too often you go way beyond performing a helpful post-analysis by replaying it over and over and over again, and it takes up way more attention in your mind than it actually merits. Secondly, don't. Don't hide from your regrets. What may be more dangerous than thinking too much about your regrets is not thinking about them at all. That's a huge mistake. If you try to ignore or escape your regrets, you'll never face them at all, or at least you won't face them truthfully. Finally, do face your regrets head on. If you've been dancing around your regrets, trying to pretend they're not there, or giving your regrets so much power you can't even see them plainly, you got to stop. You can't change what happened in the past, but you can change what you do in response from here on out. Your choice of response is all important to your future. The Apostle Peter, whose regrets included denying his close friend and Savior Jesus, he wrote these important words. So humble yourselves under the mighty power of God, and at the right time, He will lift you up in honor. Give all your worries, all your cares to God, for He cares about you. I'm telling you, never doubt this. God does not want to leave you crushed under the weight of your regrets. That's why you have to ask God to give you the courage, to give you the humility, to face your regrets, to stare them down until they lose the power that they have over you. When you do that, your regrets, they won't be the finish line. They'll actually be the starting line.
My name is Brett, and this is my story. So I grew up in Parkersburg, West Virginia, in I think what most people would call a pretty typical home. Mom and a dad and 1 younger brother. Church was not a huge part of our life. We did go on Sundays, but it was just the place where we had to wear bad socks, and I didn't enjoy going. The first time I remember being introduced to alcohol, I was probably about 13 years old. I was hanging out with an older kid, his name was Chad, and we stole a couple bottles of wine from my parents' liquor cabinet. And we drank the bottle of wine, and we made screwdrivers. And when I got home, I remember that we had this downhill driveway into the garage, and I remember the garage door wasn't up, so I remember wrecking into the garage. I remember my parents yelling at me. I remember crying and hugging a toilet. I remember promising that I would never do this again. What I also remember is that even though the consequences were bad, that I thought I had found the answer to life's problems that frankly I didn't even know I had before that day. All the fear and doubt and insecurity in the world just kind of slipped away when I drank, and I thought I'd found the answer to life. My parents had different ideas growing up that was not okay in our home, so I found myself in trouble all the time. It's funny, my mom would say, you know, I needed to get different friends, but what she didn't realize is I had become the friend that other people should get a different one for. That's kind of the route my high school took. I think probably the first time that a light bulb came on, I'd been on a bender, came home to steal money. That was my job. I snuck into the house and got caught with my hand in the cookie jar, and rather than coming up with some lie like I normally would, I remember just saying, I have a problem with drugs and drinking, and I can't stop, and I don't know what to do. And so my father actually knew instantly what he wanted to do, so they told me that a van was on its way to my house to come pick me up and take me away to my first treatment center. So I was 17 years old at that time. I felt helpless and lost and clueless as to how I can make it through life, because I couldn't imagine life going on as I was living it. but I certainly couldn't imagine any other way either at that point. I also looked at my family and realized that I had destroyed any resemblance of what a family is. What do I do now? I've thrown away everything. Life's over. I didn't see how more could happen after what I'd done. I won't say that treatment did a lot of good things or life change happened there, but what did happen was I met a counselor named Rob. When Rob would share what it was like for him to want to drink or get high, I knew that Rob was just like me. And I had grown up to that point thinking I was the only one that felt that way inside. A seed was planted that if Rob could do it, then maybe there was hope for a guy like me too. I had an aunt who lived in Chicago named Fran, and Fran had recently gotten sober herself and offered that if I wanted to change my life, she offered to let me move out with her to give me a new chance and a new start. So I moved out to Chicago. Fran introduced me to a few other people who were closer to my age and also had gotten sober and recovering. I began to have just, I guess you'd call it a glimmer of hope. Hope that if it was possible for these people, that maybe it could be possible for me too. The reality was I was still a long way away, many years away from getting off this downward destructive sorry cycle.